going on, Jeromes? It's a beautiful Saturday, and unfortunately, we're getting into the part of the calendar where the Vikings talk about the draft, they talk about the quarterback of the future, and there's a lot of things up in the air at the moment. So, QB Adofo-mensah, general manager of the Minnesota Vikings, as of right now, you know that he loves making moves and finding grooves in the draft. He's not afraid to gamble, and apparently last year during the 2023 draft, I mean, there have been some talk about the Vikings moving up from 23. They ended up staying pat and taking Jordan Addison, which seemed to work out for everyone. But even in a sort of marginal quarterback class, well, seen as a marginal quarterback class, the Vikings apparently were ready to make a couple of moves all the way up. Now, there have been some smoke. Oh, the Vikings were in on Bryce Young. Oh, the Vikings were in on C.J. Stroud. Oh, the Vikings were in on Richardson. Oh, the Vikings were in on Will Levis. They could have had Will Levis in the first round. I guess not so much. But Brett Kollmann, film guru, he sprinkled in a little bit of knowledge there. So he's on the Mina Kimes show, South Korea represent. So Vikes Insider puts this together. Quote, this is Kollmann. I don't think people realize how hard the Vikings tried to trade up for Anthony Richardson last year. Like the haul that they put on the table was massive. They were going to give away the entire farm, all of it. They were going to give everything. But it takes two to tango. Their trade partner thought that they were going to be too good, so they went elsewhere. Remember that line. And then Kollmann went on to talk about how he sees the Vikings making a move for Jaden Daniels or Michael Penix. And also, so he said that Jaden Daniels is a Kevin O'Connell type quarterback with the mobility. I don't know. Like the more info that we got about like Josh Dobbs and how Kevin O'Connell didn't really have anything for him other than, I don't know, be a pocket passer. I don't know. But either way, it certainly is intriguing. Now, Anthony Richardson would have been a ton of fun. Yes, he got hurt this year with the Colts with a shoulder injury, but I think his upside is huge. I think he's got good accuracy. I think he's got a huge arm. I think his mobility and size is completely just ridiculous, man. But so the line that we said focus on, their trade partner thought that they were going to be too good. So that immediately says, hey, NFC, hey, maybe even division. So remember, the Bears had the number 1 overall pick for a hot second because they were the worst team in football 2 years ago. But was it a spot where we've seen that Kwesi is not afraid to trade in division? He's done deals with the Lions. He's done deals with the Packers. Did Kwesi try to get up to 1 from 23? And was he offering the farm? Like, was he offering 3 first-round picks in a couple of seconds, maybe a starter or 2? I think it's possible. But again, just reading between the lines, their trade partner thought that they were going to be too good because that would have been a disaster for the Bears. It's also a reason why the Bears won't do business with the Vikings this season since they have number 1 locked up, is that if you trade your division rival, their future franchise quarterback, and he torments you for 10, 12, 15 plus years, you're never going to live it down. So that's why they weren't going to do it. In terms of teams worried about making the Vikings too good, I mean, the Texans were up there. The Cardinals were up there. I mean, maybe the Cardinals, who originally were at 3, were just like, they're in a conference. We don't want to make them too good. Maybe, marginally. Seattle could make sense. But Richardson was taken at 4 to the Colts, so that could be a moot point. But it could have been a move before the draft. Who really knows? But either way, the Vikings 23, Addison, worked out pretty good. And the Vikings, I do think that Kwesi and Kevin O'Connell understand securing the quarterback of the future. And no, I don't think it's a spot where they intentionally tried to lose games. I mean, they lost games trying to win. But you draft where you draft. But again, wherever you're at, I mean, the Vikings could get all the way up to 9 with a loss and some games going their way, or they could make the playoffs and they could fall to 19 plus in the draft. But the whole thing about it is that the Vikings, I don't think that Kwesi is going to be scared. I think that he would be willing to make a move and potentially move on up in the class, move up in the draft to go up and go get your guy. Now, if you're looking at a big-time arm, size, mobility, I mean, that could be Drake May. I mean, Drake May is sort of more of a carbon copy of Josh Allen. I know that Kollmann mentioned Jaden Daniels. Not a 1-for-1 comp for Anthony Richardson, obviously, but I mean Daniels certainly has a lot of upside both as a runner and as a thrower. But Penix Jr., I mean, if medicals check out, Penix Jr., again, that ball just explodes out of his freaking hand, man. Great accuracy, great attitude, and also just think about Penix and JJ and Addison and Hockenson together long term. It's a lot of fun, man. It's certainly a lot of fun. And if the Vikings do want to potentially trade up, I think it would be Caleb Williams, Jaden Daniels, or Drake May. But the Vikings, I mean, say everything just stands pat. Say they draft in the the 12 to 14 range. I think that pending on medicals, it could be a spot where that could be the range for Penix or Bo Nix or JJ McCarthy. I know a lot of mock drafts have them going in the second round. After draft season is all said and done, I don't see Michael Penix falling out of the first round. I just don't. Barring some sort of like medical, just like like Jay Ajayi bone on bone knee. Nah, I don't really see that. But it is interesting because, of course, we know that Kwesi, he ain't afraid to roll the dice. And also, yes, you could look at every single draft, and there's always like leaks. Like, oh, we were certainly in on this guy, especially once the player becomes good. But that's super interesting. And I do think that it could have been the Vikings and Kwesi just calling up Ryan Poles. What up? Hey, I know you're in our division, but I'll give you 4 first-round picks to move all the way up to 1. And also, hey, you want like Garrett Bradbury or something? It's great, man. But again, bittersweet memories. Anthony Richardson is going to be a stud. I know that he's sort of forgotten this year because of how good Stroud was, as well as his injury. But he's going to be a monster, man. But I think it is good that the Vikings have shown a little bit of chutzpah, and the Vikings aren't afraid to go up and go get to their guy, which I think that they will. I think it'll be a combination. I think they'll re-sign Kirk. I think that they'll draft their guy, and then we'll go from there. But your thoughts are thoughts. Minnesota Vikings reportedly tried to trade up for Anthony Richardson. God, that would have been so fun. Let's know your thoughts and our thoughts in the comment section below. Subscribe for daily Vikings takes. Want to support the work? Put a little something in the Venmo. But till next time, Skull Production Value.